And you have an absolute right. You've got a Sixth Amendment right to counsel, but when you're arrested, you've got a Fifth Amendment right to counsel. It's due process. There's Supreme Court cases that support that out the wazoo.
Now, were these people considered arrested when this siege began?
When you're no longer free to leave police control, you're arrested. Whether they officially arrest you or not, if you can't leave the control of the police voluntarily, which I think you could agree that would be a situation when you're surrounded by tanks and police and feds and everything else, then, I mean, it doesn't get any clearer than the situation they had. They were not free to leave. You know, yeah, they could leave, but they would leave to the immediate custody of the very people that had them surrounded.
Sure.
So they were not free to leave, and they are then, by federal law and by Supreme Court cases, under arrest. Well, once you are under arrest like that, you're entitled to counsel. And no one was griping about that. I mean, these guys needed someone to come in and say, yeah, here's your rights, here's what's going to happen to you if you go out, here's what's going to happen to you if you stay in. These kinds of things.
But Linda, these are people who were going to commit mass suicide. They were said to be terrorists. They were said to be child molesters, child abusers. The leader of this group said that he was Jesus Christ. Why should they have rights?
Well, first of all, everything you just said there is something that the media said that we've never seen any evidence of at all. I've talked to all of the family. The Texas authorities had investigated the child abuse charges and the automatic rifle things twice and found nothing in 2 years.
And we could substantiate that because I personally talked to the child welfare people and the local sheriff when I was in Waco, Texas, and they verified to me personally what Linda has just told you.
And that's right in the warrant, too. And the other thing is you can check with Henry McMahon. He ran Hewitt Arms at the gun store in Waco, or was at the time. The Branch Davidians bought their guns from him. The ATF had been to Henry McMahon's store 8 months ago and checked all of his records and found out they bought all these guns legally. He had all the required paperwork there. And he even called Koresh on the phone and said, hey, the ATF's got a problem with you guys buying all these guns. And Koresh said, well, tell them to come on out. And they didn't go. The ATF did not take them up on the offer then. And yet they knew those guns were legally purchased, and in the warrant, they still said, we've got all this information that all this stuff is illegal. Well, that was a lie. It was a flat lie. Same thing with the child abuse and sex molesting charges and all that. Those things had already been investigated for 2 years. The ATF had no jurisdiction to investigate it anyway, even if every bit of that was true.
That's correct. And they had.
The ATF doesn't have any jurisdiction.
That's correct. And they had no jurisdiction for the stated reason that they made the raid in their press conference on the 28th, which was that they had heard from a foreign informant through the State Department that they were going to commit mass suicide. That was the first reason given. And I don't even know if there's a federal law against suicide anyway. Do you?
Well, there's not. And there's also no authority for any federal agency to come in on a completely state crime. For instance, if you litter in Texas, the ATF can't come arrest you. It has nothing to do with the ATF. And suicide, a planned mass suicide, first of all, that was another lie. I've talked to every one of the surviving Branch Davidians. Those people are as sane as anyone.
Yes, it was a lie, and we traced it down, and we were the first ones to reveal on this radio show that charge originated with the Cult Awareness Network.
Yeah, and Cult Awareness Network is something that a lot of people should look into, because those, if you want to talk about an evil cult, Cult Awareness Network,
they are a cult themselves, in fact.
They fit the bill to a T because they are evil. They cause people to be killed. They cause people to be murdered. And they've taken people's children from them. They've gotten international agencies to just go in and seize families' children on no more than their allegations. And they're horrible. This Cult Awareness Network needs to be taken down.
There's a lot more to all this than what meets the eye.
Absolutely.
On the board of directors and at the highest echelon of the Cult Awareness Network are people who participated in secret mind control operations such as MKUltra with the Central Intelligence Agency. And we know that a lot of their funding comes from spy organizations, which have been proven to be a spy organization and are being indicted right now for spying within this country and transporting information to foreign countries. And I'm talking about the Anti-Defamation League, the ADL.
I've got a lawsuit that's going to be filed against these people next week on behalf of another religious group in California, making exactly those allegations, and we can substantiate them. Well, this Rick Ross, a number of the cult awareness people were on TV the night that Mount Carmel burned down. These guys suddenly pop up out of the woodwork, everywhere. Any station you turned on, there was a member of Cult Awareness Network, and there was a so-called expert on cults and so-called deprogrammer. Well, first of all, tell me where you get a degree to become an expert in cults. Secondly, tell me where you get training to be a deprogrammer. These guys are self-proclaimed, okay? They're nobody.
That's probably the same place that you get the designation ufologist. I'm sorry, ufologist. But go ahead.
Now, this Rick Ross was on TV. He was a talking head. He was the guy advising the ATF all along for 30 days. Well, he was just indicted last week for kidnapping and a lot of other felony charges. And this is the caliber of people that our government was dealing with, helping them to promulgate all these lies about the Branch Davidians in the press to keep everybody's attention distracted from what they were really doing.
Mm-hmm.
They went in there to kill these people to begin with.
Absolutely. And we said that on this radio show during the siege, that if it was not stopped, those people would be murdered.
And it backfired when they didn't fight back hard enough so that they could kill them all the first day. And then they had to figure out a way to do it in front of the public and get away with it. And they did. They absolutely did. And the tape that we produced shows how the government did it. They
shows it so well that it gave me chills. It brought tears to my eyes. I was in a rage for hours. I had to control myself. What I wanted to do was get a gun and go off and start the war, and I'm glad that I didn't, and I advise everybody else to control themselves also. When you see this video, it will have that effect on you.
I've had to fight that all throughout this because I've been finding all this information, and I've had to fight that urge so many times I couldn't tell you. I got a hit list a mile long, and it doesn't stop. I mean, it gets worse by the day. I find out more and more and more. But the most damning piece, this video was put together so that the average person who really has doubts that we've got evil people leading this government, people that will not stop at anything, and I mean anybody that will murder babies.
Godless people.
These are truly godless people that will literally stop at nothing in their quest for power. And I guarantee this video proves it. I absolutely guarantee it. And
why don't you continue the way you're going, and then after the break we'll talk about what's in the video. So how did you get this footage? Where did you get this footage from?
All over the place. Originally, there was a fellow down in Texas with the CFA that he had taken a lot of the footage off of a satellite, and we were going to use his footage because he was sending copies to us. But the copies that we've got were really horrible quality. They were recorded in slow play. Well, in the meantime, he and CFA were going to make their own video, so we sent all the donations we got for American Justice, we sent them down to them to get their video made.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when they got their video made, I was going to take it to Congress. Well, I was so disappointed in their video.
Yes, it is disappointing, and there's some outright blatant inaccuracies in there.
It's just completely wrong.
Yeah.
There was no change in their opinion, and I just said, well, we got to make our own. And we went down and we got some of this footage from the guy. But again, he recorded it in slow play, so it was useless, and it sent me out on a quest to get it from other places. So I called. There are services that just tape record news broadcasts and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
We started paying to order all that footage from all over the country, any place we could get it, from news services that would release, what they had. But what I found was, for the most part, these places either keep footage for 30 days and destroy it or 90 days and destroy it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that most of the footage from the 28th was already gone. But I found this one service that they said, well, we've got a lot of stuff from the 19th, and it's going to cost you several $1,000s because we charge per segment. I said, well, we're about out of money. I don't think we can afford that. Well, this lady called me back from there a few minutes later. She said, well, we were just getting ready to recycle these tapes today anyway. So if you'll just pay me the cost of the tapes, I'll send you my originals. And I said, sure. Well, this fire footage was on those tapes.
Folks, it's time to take our break. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this very short pause.